Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to have you. I just saw these stickers on people's shirts and jackets. Can all of the contributors to this book who have these beautiful stickers on please stand up so we can applaud you? This amazing treasure. Let's give them a big round of applause. This is Philadelphia's finest. History in the making. Yes, I see you back there. Thank you so much for all you have done to make this book possible. And we're so excited when we have, Philly people take the stage. I know that means a lot to us, and I hope it means a lot to you. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's very exciting Free Library of Philadelphia Foundation author event. If you've been here before, you've seen Daniel and me do this shtick. We do. And we love it, right? We love it.
We do.
But last night we were king and queen of the prom, but tonight we're just hanging out, right? Music?
I thought this was a prom.
Okay. So we're excited to have you. Who was here last night for Chris Matthews, another Philadelphia native, right? He was amazing. So it was just great to be in contact with both of these legends. It's been an incredible season. Like I said last night, we had Chris Matthews from MSNBC. We had Sonia Sotomayor, Supreme Court Justice, who walked around the whole audience scaring her security team from the federal government and hugged all the children. She said, nope, no adults. She hugged and took pictures with the kids and left the adults out of it. It was just, she was just amazing. But there's still more to come. So this guy, right, he's on the phone with publishers, negotiating, getting them to come. So let's give Daniel a round of applause. He's a year and a half into his term, and he's done an amazing job. But coming up, we have Jonathan Carl and Trey Johnson. We're also capping off the season with our rescheduled event with Congressman Jim Clyburn on December 14th. Does everyone know why he had to reschedule? Yes, he had to go back to reopen the government. And we had a big sold-out event. So it's being rescheduled for December 14th, so you can go register for all of our events at freelibraryfoundation.org. I just want to say a few words about our organization in general. The foundation works together with the Free Library to support programming and advance its mission of promoting literacy throughout the Philadelphia regions. This event is free this evening, and all of our other events are only $5, and that's to allow anyone to come in to see someone as famous as Justice Sotomayor, to smaller book authors that we cherish in Philadelphia. But we also take donations to support the amazing programming in the library, after-school programs, after-school meal for students, to raise literacy rates. How many people know a more literate city is a more safer city? Statistics show that, right? So when you're at your bank and you say to them, why did you cut the library's funding? You know it's safer when our literacy rates go up. So please spread the word. The need is definitely there. Before we get tonight's program started, there are a few people and organizations we like to thank. I'd like to thank Uncle Bobby's, our partner bookseller, and the Philadelphia Citizen, our media partner. Raise your hand, Larry. We love Larry. He is just doing amazing things. I was just at Ideas You Can Steal and Ideas You Can Scale event, and I just learn something every year when I go to that. So thank you for being our partner. I also like to thank the volunteers. Those people outside you saw helping you with books, they're volunteers. They have to go through an application process, screening. Let's give them a round of applause. They volunteer for the library. And the amazing people in the booth back there, those are library employees who help us film. They're here late, the security guards. So we couldn't do this without being in Ponch. So last night I thought I was on Broadway. I said, and you back there, and you down here. So, but they know we love them, so thank you. And they help us produce our YouTube series, all the author events you can see on our YouTube channel. And we like to thank our group of patrons that help us run this series. And like I said, especially our donors. We have our Pepper members here who, just incredible support. And I would also like to extend a special welcome to the folks from the Philadelphia Music Alliance. Where are you? Who were crucial in this publication. Yes, for tonight's featured book. Thank you. And I've met some people who used to work with Larry at the electric factory. Yes, where are you? Where are you? Okay. You know they got some stories, right? I just want to sit at your, and can we get drinks afterwards? Tell me all the tea. But thank you for being here. Now, Daniel, take it over.
How about Monique Moore Pryor? Can we have a round of applause for incredible leadership of the foundation? So many great things are happening here at the Free Library. Just an exciting time. Including tonight, when we're going to welcome the Philadelphia legend, Mr. Larry Magid, who's excited to see Larry. Now, along with his partners Alan, Jerry, and Herb Spivak, Larry created the Electric Factory. First, the club, and then the concerts. Magid was just a kid himself then, but he quickly became the godfather of Philly's counterculture, a Pied Piper for a generation. Larry Magid may have helped turn pop music into a 20th century art form, but far from forgetting his West Philly roots, he revels in them. During his teen years, he learned how much music can stir a soul at the Uptown Theater's R&B shows, and despite being seen as a tough businessman in the Wild West of the rock industry, he remains in it for the right reasons. Rocking around the world, Magid knows, changes it. Tonight, he'll be speaking with us about the incredibly vibrant musical tradition that has defined our city, that has transformed our city, and that occupies over 350 pages in the Philadelphia Music Book, which Larry edited. And again, I would also like to welcome many of the book's contributors who are here in attendance tonight. We're so happy to have you here. Larry will be joined in conversation by Sam Katz, a lifelong Philadelphian who has experienced a diverse and unique career in public and project finance, venture capital, civic affairs, development, politics, and documentary filmmaking. Sam had a nearly 3-decade career in public and project finance, including the financings for the Wells Fargo Center and Baltimore's Camden Yards. He served as CEO for a major civic organization, launched and managed a regional venture capital fund, and was a candidate for mayor of Philadelphia. I know everyone is as excited for this conversation as we are. Please join us in welcoming Larry Magid and Sam Katz.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. How many of you remember from WDAS the disc jockey Cannonball?
No.
How many of you remember the disc jockey? What? No. Already the experts are Cannonball. And how many of you remember the disc jockey Joe Tomato? I'd like to introduce you to Joe Tomato. So your start as a disc jockey. Let's get that one off the table.
I
Get this
was
close to your mouth.
16 years old, and I lasted about 8 weeks. And there was the son of the guy, the owner of the radio station went to Overbrook High School, and I went to West Philly, and we were rivals. And told his father I didn't want any West Philly kids on the air, so I was gone.
But you walked into the station late at night,
Yeah.
went out and got a couple, had your friends get some cheesesteaks,
And I hung around the station.
and
yeah.
and Cannonball got you on the radio.
Yep.
But how did he do that?
How did he ask me? He must have been drunk or something. I don't know how he had the guts to let me on the radio, but he invited me, and I lasted a couple of months. I had a great time. I was in 11th grade, and it hooked me.
And he called you Joe Tomato.
Called me Joe Tomato.
There's
So
no
if you
chapter,
see me on the street and you say, "Hi, Joe Tomato," I will respond.
and there's no chapter in the book called Joe Tomato.
No, it's not about me. It's about Philadelphia and all the great talent and all the great entertainers and musicians that have come from Philadelphia to entertain the world and become nationally renowned. And my extreme honor to be able to help put this together with 13 incredible Philadelphia writers, and I think that it's important. I didn't write this book. Great Philadelphians wrote this book. Jonathan Takeoff, nobody more Philadelphia than him. Peter Dobrin, Jack McCarthy, who's a great historian, he just put a book out about the Mann Music Center. Larry Platt, who just bought Philadelphia Magazine, so it's going to be great. Again, Tom DiNardo, Peter Dobrin. Peter's great. He taught me a lot of things that I didn't know in the classical world, because obviously not my sphere. And he was just as all the writers were really helpful, and it's really their book and a tribute to their ability to discern who from Philadelphia belonged in this book.
Why is it you think that Philadelphia's musicality was so central to its character and to establishing such a cultural imprint?
Well, it's really interesting that a lot of these people, the musicians, came from meager backgrounds. And Philadelphia, being a city of neighborhoods, I think was crucial to the success that the people had. And there were outlets throughout the city in various neighborhoods, and still, and just led the way. And how many of these people came from Philadelphia is just amazing. But we go back to the 18th century, where Philadelphia was the hub of popular music in America, and Benjamin Franklin invented the harmonica. Not the harmonica, wait a second. I knew you were important. That's why I'm here. That's why.
Thank God the scholars are here.
Yeah.
One of the things that in my research and writing about this subject was really kind of obvious was the presence of Victor Talking Machine Company, and the fact that so much recording was done just across the river,
Right.
and was able to take advantage of so many of Philadelphia's great musicians.
Yeah, just the proximity to that is crucial, and a great outlet, and Philadelphia artists helped make that record company what it became.
Because they could get musicians from the Philadelphia Orchestra to play background music,
Yeah,
and Marian Anderson to sing Deep River.
yeah, yeah. It's great.
So much talent that got recorded at Victor.
Philadelphia, just that great city, and I'm glad that the writers and I had an opportunity to bring that to the fore. Very important, and I'm being a Philadelphian, a lifelong Philadelphian. I just very proud of the fact that a lot of these people that went before me helped define my career, my life, and what's come after us. And what I'm excited about is the new rock scene in Philadelphia, and the acts that are happening from Philadelphia that are selling out places like Madison Square Garden or Red Rocks in Colorado, or an arena in LA, or all over the place. It's just great. So we have an ongoing parade of talent that's going to sustain Philadelphia as a major music city and for some time.
And how was it that a West Philadelphia basketball player got his start in music?
But I have to
I'm
ask.
not talking about Wayne Hazard, I'm talking about you.
Well, I was a basketball player. I was a schoolyard player, not anything more. How did I got my start in music? Hanging at that radio station and for a couple of months, and it just whet my appetite. And I had gone to Temple University, and I signed up for a class, or I tried to sign up for a class by Lou Klein, who was an important figure to me. He was the guy that discovered bandstand, brought it to the fore. He was the director, and watching TV shows, I kept seeing his name on the scrolls, and so when I got to Temple, I wanted to sign up for his class, and I got shut out. I was there were too many people wanted to get in, so I went over to sit down in Mitten Hall and try to figure out what I was going to do and what classes I was going to take. And someone came over to me and said, "Well, you know all about music." And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, I have a friend that's got a fraternity, and he's looking for a band. You know all these bands, don't you?" And I just happened to have met a singer the day before, and I had this little part-time job working for Cannonball, who came back into my life, and he had what you call a radio tip sheet for black radio stations. And he wanted to start a teenage newspaper, and for some reason he thought I'd be someone good to help him. And I made $35 a week cash. So I was, but I met this guy, Brooks Odell, and I said, "Yeah, I can get you a band. How much is it? How much do you pay?" And he says, "Well, it's $150. So I called this guy, Brooks Odell, and I said, "Hey, you have a band? You want to play a fraternity party? What's that?" And I said, "Well, you go to colleges, they drink a lot, and you do 4 sets a night, and you make $135. I got to make 10%, $15. And I said, $15 for this? This is great." So I started a business, and in 3 years I had done remarkably well. It was a full-time job, as booking bands and concerts all across the East Coast up to Boston and down to Virginia. I even booked a concert at the Air Force Academy, and then I realized I better learn some more. And just at that time, I got an offer for a job in New York at a talent agency to be the head of the college department, and you go to college to get a job. So I left school and started my journey.
And now you're a book editor.
I'm a book editor. Yeah, pays really well.
What? Try documentary filmmaking.
Well, I don't know. Did they announce you as a documentarian?
I think I heard that.
Sam is working on a documentary about music from Philadelphia, and just about finished your first. It's going to be great. Of course, I'm not in the first one. I'm in the fourth chapter. So.
This one ends in 1929. So,
yeah. Just when I was starting.
What was it that you saw in the changing of culture that led you to believe that you could create a venue for the kind of music that you ended up hosting at the Electric Factory? And how did you get over the hump? And then, of course, you did close it and change to promotion of concerts. So walk us through the steps that you went through that led to all of that.
Well, I got another job at a major agency, but I was the youngest guy there, and I got thrown the little bits. But what was happening, we had the Beatles, we had the Supremes, Bob Dylan. We had so many acts. It was just a giant agency. But I was, I just, basically cleaned the place up, I think. But I got to book Janis Joplin and Frank Zappa and Moody Blues. But they didn't care about those. They were doing their own thing and booking the bigger acts. And I got to see something that really amazed me. And the summer of '67, Bleecker Street Theater in the Village in New York. I walked in to see this band that I had kept hearing about, this Frank Zappa guy and the Mothers of Invention. I walked in and I said, "There's another world." And then little by little, my boss would say, "Hey, you know what? There's a festival in Monterey. I want you to go out and take a look and see if you can sign any acts." And then I got to try to sign some young acts like the Doors and people like that, and I saw something happening, and headliner money in this time, '66, I think '67, when I worked there, it was $5,000 to $7,500, and that was good money. Of course, you were paying $2 or $3 to go to a show, but anyway, we would get booking slips of all the various acts that we booked, and I come shuffling through it in the morning, and I see there's a booking slip for Cream, and Cream had only played the Cafe Au Go-Go in New York for a week. They haven't been around, but the booking slip was for a debutante coming out party in Dearborn, Michigan. And it paid $5,333 and 3 round-trip first-class airfares from New York. And I said, something's happening here. And you didn't have to be that bright, but you could see what was happening with pop culture. And then the Who were an opening act on a Murray the K show in Manhattan, and just went to see them. And I said, they're breaking instruments. Something's happening. So it's just the learning about the pop culture. And then my boss says that one time, there's a band in Philadelphia I'd like you to go to see. And I said, sure, go easy, you can go home. And it was a band called Woody's Truck Stop. And Todd Rundgren was the singer. And they played TLA on South Street, and I went to see them. And as an agent, I'm dressed in a sport jacket because, you had to wear a suit and a white shirt and a tie at work every day. So I figured, well, I'll be casual. And then all of a sudden, I see this netherworld happening in Philadelphia. And then the amazing thing was Woody's Truck Stop. For an encore, they had these shopping bags full of fruit and vegetables, and they threw it at the audience. And this made me want to come back to Philadelphia.
One of the cover acts that you had early in the Electric Factory was a guy named Bruce Springsteen. He's backstage. We're going to bring him out later.
Bruce will be out in a minute.
Tell us about the first time Bruce performed at the Electric Factory.
Well, he didn't perform at the factory until the second iteration of it on 7th and Willow. His record company booked him as the opening act on a tour with the hottest act in the country at that time, Chicago, and we did a matinee, after-school matinee, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we did an evening show. And he got booed off stage. He had a great album, but people didn't want to hear him. They wanted to hear Chicago, and he was walking down the steps, and I was walking up, and I just said, just not your audience, Bruce. It's the wrong show. You'll be back. And it didn't take a genius to see that. I mean, he's just most amazing talent.
And your relationship with him and the relationship over the years of promoting him, how would you characterize that?
Great. I have the longest relationship with Bruce of anybody in the music business that's still working. Of course, everybody died off, so just, 51 years, 52 years.
You're still promoting Bruce. You're still promoting Bruce.
That's the only thing I care to do right now, besides selling this book.
Which, by the way, if you want to buy it, there's going to be many copies out in the back.
Yep.
How did the decision to close the electric factory, as you said, the first iteration, come about? And was there some interaction that you had with the mayor of Philadelphia and the commissioner of the police?
We had, that's not the reason that we closed, but we had an issue one night, and we're cooking. We're selling out every show. Of course, it was only $3 to get in, $3.50. No alcohol. And I'm in the office one day, and one of the employees comes over, and he says, "There's someone at the door would like to see you." So I go out of the office, and I go and I said, "Holy jeez." And you see this guy's bigger than life, you know, and it's just not the person you want to see. "Are you the owner of this place?" I said, No. He said, "I'll bring him over, though." And I said, "I'm going to turn this place into back into a tire warehouse," which was what it was at one time. Anyway,
This is Frank Rizzo, by the way.
yeah. The next week he brought the mayor, Mayor Tate, not one of our better mayors, but yeah, we're going to close this place up and everything. So what the police started to do was harass us. We did 2 shows a night, 8 and 10:30. There was a 10:30 curfew for anybody under 17 years old. So the police would come in, plainclothes police, uniformed police, and they would go through the place. On the second show, carding kids, and then if they found kids that were underage, they would take them to the police station in a paddy wagon. And this went on, and they tried to close us. We got an injunction, and it went on for a long time. And at one time, they even put me in a paddy wagon. So, and I was playing Traffic that night, and they all came out to wave and goodbye. Yeah, that was really. We got 2 constitutional lawyers, Stanford Schmuckler, Richard Atkins. I don't think we paid them. I think they volunteered to do this. And we had a judge, his name was Sloan, and he was from another world. It was just maybe the 20s, but just didn't understand what was happening. But we kept fighting and fighting, and we had city councilmen come out for us. We had neighbors come out. We had a lot of people came in our defense. And on Election Day, November 2nd, 1970, was announced that we won the case and the right to stay open. And and our constitutional rights, our First Amendment rights, were what we based our case on. And had we not won that, the whole world, I believe, would have been different. We would have seen a lot of what's going on now happened back then. And so we stood up for everybody, but unfortunately it took its toll. And the owner of the factory that we were leasing the property from decided that he was either going to double our rent and if we didn't agree, he was going to build townhouses, which he did. But at that point, we started doing concerts, and you could see the audience growing, and so we started doing shows at the Spectrum. We led the country. We were doing more shows 3, 4, 5 times than anybody else in the country. And we put 3 acts together, and we charged $4, $5, and $6 to get in. We did it for years, and we helped build a lot of acts. So, but when we won the case, instead of the headlines closing us up, there was a little 1-inch news story buried on the back of the newspaper that day. And that's when newspapers were really thick.
That was when Walter Annenberg owned the Inquirer,
Yeah,
perhaps?
yeah.
So you closed the factory and you went into the concert promotion business. Was that a difficult transition?
No, it was the easiest thing because we had built it up. It was just very easy. And before we closed, we started in '68 doing shows. So this is 1970. We were doing good 40 shows at a year, maybe more at the Spectrum.
Spectrum was in some trouble when the roof blew off,
Yeah,
and there was a fight over who was going to own it, and it went
Right.
into bankruptcy.
right.
And you appeared in front of the bankruptcy court to tell them what?
Well, the Judge Higginbottom, told Ed Snyder, there were a few bidders, and he said he was going to give it to Snyder if we would sign a contract guaranteeing them X amount of shows a year, because they weren't making any money, and we were, and that's what we did. And that's how he got it. Of course, he's not acknowledging it, but he's dead, so it's a difference. He never acknowledged it. But he did, but not publicly.
What does it take for an act, a group, a band, to decide to trust you and to take their creativity into the stage and out into the business world? What qualities are they looking for, and why were you the guy that they were comfortable with?
I was going to pay him. Basically it. Well, we had a good reputation at the factory. It was a good place. We had a great community in Philadelphia of people wanting to see these acts. In the first 6 weeks, we played Joplin, Hendrix, Zappa, Cream, Chambers Brothers, all in the first like 6-7 weeks. And Electric Factory was one of the few places that they could count on to play and get paid and play more than one night. There wasn't a tour per se because there weren't a lot of places, but the agents or the managers would say to an act, whoever it was, could have been Led Zeppelin, could have been anybody, you know, we have you booked and you're going to play the Fillmore in New York, and you're going to play Electric Factory, and you're going to play for Graham, and you're going to play for Magid. And at that juncture, our names were just as important to the acts because it gave them credibility. They knew they were going to get paid. They knew they were going to get a chance to perform. They were close to the audience. The stage was only 3 feet high, and we had these little benches that you could sit on that you sat in elementary school, and you know, so and it held enough people so the acts could make some money for the time.
How about building the big concerts like in the Spectrum? How did that evolve from a small venue like
Just
the Factory?
came out of it. What happened when I decided that I wanted to come back to Philadelphia and had the opportunity? The Spectrum was brand new, and it opened with the Quaker City Jazz Festival over 2 nights, and amazing amount of talent on that. And I thought, you know, this is great for Philadelphia. We had really no terrific place to play, and I thought the people would respond to the arena. I was right. People wanted to go there, and we gave them a reason, and we kept the prices down as low as we could for years and years and years. We were the lowest, but how do we make it up? Volume. That's what we did. And I'm not responsible for the Taylor Swift prices. I don't. play her, but I wish I could, but Springsteen's enough for me at this point.
Well, how do the economics of a concert work? Who gets what?
We get what's left over. And, you know, an act comes in and they get a guarantee against the percentage, and fortunately, our shows always went into percentage, and
You have to guarantee,
yeah.
promoter, have to guarantee the act
we have to guarantee everything. The
a
rent-
minimum amount of income.
Yeah.
And you don't make that income, you cover it.
Unless we sell enough tickets, and we did, and we did it week after week, month after month, year after year for a long time, and we got the acts were confident enough in our ability, and for a long time we were the top grossing promotion company in the country, and maybe one of the top in the world.
So speaking of the world, how did the Live Aid concert come about? How did that come to Philadelphia, and how did you get involved in it?
I got a call.
Maybe you should tell some people what Live Aid is, because there's a few people here that might
The
not.
Live Aid, well, I think everybody's just a giant.
This was a simultaneous concert in London and Philadelphia
Yeah, it happened
in
40
order to
years
raise
ago.
money for
40 years ago, I was what, 40 years old. If you're counting, I'm 53 now, so it's, just to straighten that out. Got a call from a friend, Bill Graham, great promoter, good friend, and he told me about this show that they wanted to do, and they wanted to do it on the East Coast, and Graham did not like a lot of people, and especially any of the promoters on the East Coast. So we were friendly, and he asked me if I would get involved. And by the way, they wanted to do it on the Mall in Washington D.C. And oh yeah, it's 5.5 weeks away. And I said, well, you're not going to get the Mall to give you a license. It takes you months. And then, okay, well, let's go. We will do it in New York or North Jersey. And somehow I convinced them to come to Philadelphia. Sold them on the qualities of the city. The audiences were and are spectacular in Philadelphia. And I have a great legacy of that. And Cradle of Liberty, blah blah blah, and selling it to Bob Geldof, an Englishman, and I got on the phone and told him, and I said, listen, if you do it in Philadelphia, would you take us back as a country? And he thought about it, but I'm still hoping. But anyway, so we did the show in 5 weeks. We put together the show, and Philly had a great show, great audience.
Who was in that show?
Well, we had a reunion of Led Zeppelin. We had Tina Turner and Mick Jagger. We had Bob Dylan and Ronnie Woods and Keith Richards. We had Bo Diddley, who played with George Thorogood down the road in Delaware. We had Hall & Oates. We had Madonna. Hall & Oates were interesting. They had two of the former Temptations who just happened to be living in Philadelphia at the time, and they were Hall & Oates were great fans of the Temptations, so they were part of it. Eric Clapton, Phil Collins. It was an amazing show, and it was a lot of fun.
How much money between the London and the Philadelphia version of Live Aid did you generate?
$150 million, something like that. 190, something like
To be used how? To be used how?
To eradicate famine in Ethiopia. It was an amazing thing, seen by 1.5 billion people. And Philadelphia shone well, really shone well. But it not only was a great show, but from the get-go, Philadelphia, I thought, had the best audiences, and I've happened to been to just about every arena in the country and around the world, and I've seen great audiences. I just think Philly's just the top audience, and just the for yeah, it's just been that way from the very beginning. Very receptive, in the beginning, through the Electric Factory and through the club that we own, the Bijou, you could literally be next to the act, and the amazing thing was that nobody that I remember ever tried to jostle an act. You know, people try to jump on stage, and you know, maybe some did at one point, but I just thought that the very discerning audience, very intelligent, and just you know, another source of pride for me, you know, being here in Philadelphia. I had nothing to do with making the audience. We put on great shows and people responded.
And when Live Aid at JFK, or a municipal stadium, I don't remember when the name was changed, you had another occasion to try to persuade Bruce Springsteen to do a 90,000 outdoor concert, which he didn't want to do.
Well, you know, people see the movie, the Springsteen movie. Nobody saw it but me. Okay, I was another person. Well, it was an interesting time in his life about whether he was, you see the movie, whether he was going to accept the fame that he was starting to gain, or was it really what he wanted? And I remember talking to him. We opened the Tower Theater when I bought it in '75. With '74, we opened with 4 nights of Springsteen, including New Year's Eve, and people that listen to E Street Radio or know this was a special breakout show for Springsteen. So we you know, where would you go? So I remember saying, you know, we have to go to the Spectrum. Can't just keep playing, you know, 10 shows in a theater. You know, it doesn't make any sense. And it took a while, but his first arena show was at the Spectrum, first or second, and then it came to a point where he could sell out a stadium, and I went to him. Now I'm never going to play stadiums. I said, yeah, you told me you're never going to play arenas. You know, that there's a natural progression, and you can play all the nights you want, or you can play one night and make a whole lot of money. So when I told him the money, how much they could make, that just the manager, whatever, agent said, you ought to consider this. So he drove down by himself. I met him backstage, and he said, where could I go to see the show? We were playing Pink Floyd at JFK. So would you, I said, all right, we're going to go up to the press box. So we walk up to this rickety press box, and he looks around and he sees that there's a lot of press in a press box. So he said, is there another place I can go? And I said, well, there's another press box up on top. I have vertigo, so I don't feel like going more than 30 feet up, you know, and it's just, and this is up, and you know, you look down, and he said, no, I'm going to be fine. So I go, and I said, okay, you know, here's a seat, and at that point,
Michael said, you missed
he got up and he crawled out on this metal scaffolding overlooking 90,000 people, and he just sat there with his legs dangling. At that point, I had to close my eyes, and I was looking, to get out of there as quickly as possible, knowing that I'm leaving this guy up here. He's the biggest act in the country, and I wanted to strap him in, but he wasn't accepting that. So he played the stadium.
Last question before we open to the audience. What prompted you to take on a book? And would you do it again?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, and I worked with these writers who were great. And one thing I didn't mention how proud I am. I had a woman, Julie Vitello. She may be here. Opened my eyes to something that I didn't realize, because I wanted to put a section of disc jockeys and how important disc jockeys were to Philadelphia, to me and a lot of people growing up. And it turns out that Philadelphia, female broadcasters in Philadelphia, not only broke glass ceiling, if one existed at that time, they burst through it, and Julie and I sat down, and she gave me a great list, which we incorporated in the book, about 7 or 8 women that have become major forces in broadcasting, not only in Philadelphia, but nationally acclaimed. So I'm proud of that, and that's another thing that I'm proud of Philadelphia. But yeah, I can't do the same book. But, well, maybe I could. It's just.
So from the audience, any questions, any thoughts? Go ahead, Howard. They're going to give you a microphone.
Yeah. Here you go. Hi, I'm Howie Shapiro, one of the contributors. Larry, I got a question for you about the coffins. The coffins do you remember the coffins in the electric factory?
Yeah.
How did they come to be? Whose idea was that? It sort of became.
A very sick mind. We had what we called coffins. They were pine boxes, really, to open, that you could recline at a 30-degree angle and just sit back and watch the show. About Howard was our theater writer. I didn't realize you were here. He did a great job. And, we have this great theater section, music theater section that Howard did all by himself.
If you contributed to the book, would you stand up and be recognized?
We're talking. I'll tell you about the book, starting the book. When I had this idea, this concept to do this book, and realizing it hadn't been done before, and that this is what I wanted to be part of my legacy. The first people I went to was at Drexel University, and they helped with the book. And without Roz Reamer and Melissa Clemmers, this wouldn't be a book. As they would have stopped me or tackled me, but they encouraged me, and without them, I don't know that I could have done a book, because I didn't know anything about putting a book together. Well, I did a little bit, because there was an electric factory book, but without them, I couldn't have done this.
Roz Reamer is here. Roz, you want to stand?
She stood up. And Melissa here?
And Melissa Clemmer is here as well. I'm sorry, I didn't see you there.
Melissa was actually the editor of the book. I compiled the book, so I don't know why they put my name as the editor instead of saying compiled by. That would have sold just as many books. But she was the editor, and she got all the pictures together. She did an amazing job, and without a lot of help, it took about 5 years for this book to actually come out, but without them and the writers, I'm just sitting talking to you at a luncheonette.
When?
Anytime.
Tomorrow? Anybody else? Yes, in the back.
Hey, Larry, it's Chuck Darrow in the back.
Oh, there's another writer.
And I don't have a question, but I think I'd like to share a very brief anecdote. In 1988, on the occasion of the 20th anniversary of the opening of the factory, we sat down for a pretty extensive interview when I was at the Courier Post. And we got on the subject of the Atlantic City Pop Festival. And you made probably an offhand remark, probably didn't think twice, which ranks in my probably top 5 quotes I've ever received in 50 plus years of interviewing people. And what you had to say about the Atlantic City Pop Festival, which if you don't know was held 2 weeks before Woodstock at the old Atlantic City racetrack. And I just loved, and I've quoted you many, many times. You said, they got the movie, we got the money. So thank you for that quote.
You bet.
If you didn't have anything to do with the book, stand up and be recognized.
Hi, Larry. It's a pleasure. It's a real pleasure. And I was thinking very early, boy, this could turn into a movie. And then, of course, you shared that it is going to be a movie. So I'm excited to hear that. My name is Scott Blubon.
Oh, Sam.
Larry, what I'd like to know is, what's the one that got away? The one concert or artist that you were trying to land that didn't happen? And also, what's the one thing you still want to do?
Other than going home, go to sleep tonight. The one that got away was John Lennon. Died right before he was going to go on tour. Philadelphia was the opening city. So that one got away. Others, no, we played everybody.
If you came to Philadelphia, you came through Larry Magid.
I hope so. I hope so. There were, yeah, we were definitely pretty strong. We had a lot of muscle. What do I want to do in the future? Well, I'm going to keep working with Bruce, and that's going to be. We thought that the last show at the stadium was going to be the end. You know, that there was a lot of rumors that this was the last E Street tour, and he came off stage the first night, and he said, "Boy, what a beautiful night! I could have gone on for hours." And I said, "Okay, you know, still time, you know." And he said, "No, I think we'll save some for tomorrow." So he came off the stage on the second show. He was standing around with some stage hands and some people, and I was there, and he said, "I got 40,000 people tonight screaming my name. Why would I want to stop?" You know what? Let me just say this about Bruce Springsteen. If you've never seen him, you're really missing something, because he is the true embodiment of what rock and roll is and what it's become. But as great as he is, he's a better human being. And to work with him is more than a pleasure. It's an honor, and you know, he's been loyal for 51, 52 years. We're definitely going to do it again. I don't know when, but we're definitely going to do it again.
How many people here ever visited the Electric Factory? Wow.
Thank you for helping me pay off my mortgage. That's been great. Thank you.
It's a very
Yeah.
youthful group. Another question? Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I know Larry's working on paying off his mortgage, but I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about where the money for the book is going.
Well, first of all, it benefits the education programs for the Philadelphia Music Alliance. I'm sorry we didn't bring that up, Sam, but
Here we are.
Music Alliance has been great, something that I helped start 40 years ago. It's responsible for the Walk of Fame and the plaques that you see, which we are redoing for 2026, along with some other things, including a virtual museum that you'll be able to get on your phone, and some other fun things that I hope I'm still a part of, and as long as I can. So that's where it is. And then Terry, keep feeding my dogs on the beach. That's your job.
Other question? Yes, in the back there.
Hi, good evening. I haven't read the book yet, but I just wanted to ask you about the concert that was done at Temple Stadium in Mount Airy. Did you have any part in that?
Which one?
It was the one that was in like '69, I believe.
Are you talking about the Grateful Dead?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, I decided, we were offered a part, we were offered to be involved with them for that show, but I didn't like the people that were involved. Not the Grateful Dead. That's a whole other story, but there were some people that come along every once in a while and want to put on a show, and they did this one at Temple Stadium, and yeah, I just chose not to do it.
One more question. Yes, back in the back.
You haven't mentioned a concert that was very important in my life because it was the last week of my high school, and it was the beginning of what we used to call senior week. And it was the very first concert at JFK. It was Yes Frampton.
Yeah.
You put it on?
Yeah. It took us a few years to convince the city to allow us to do a show, and Frampton was had maybe one of the 5 best live albums of all time, and he was just starting to peak. And Yes was at that time the biggest act in Philadelphia. And we put the two of them together. We sold 90,000 tickets for $6 or $7, something.
I just have to make one more comment. The best comment I heard in the men's room was one of the bands was the Poussette Dart Band, but as a joke, you brought up some mummers, right?
Yep.
And the guy in the men's room said the mummers were better than the Poussette Dart Band.
He wasn't wrong. You know, we needed an opening act, and that was the agent that represented both acts, and he said, well, we need an opening act, and he put them on, and as a favor, of course, the mummers were better, and they're still better.
Larry and I have been collaborating with Jack and others on a documentary film that's going to come out in May of 2026 during Philadelphia Music Month, covering the foundational period of Philadelphia's 20th century music, the rise of the orchestra, Leopold Stokowski, Victor Talking Machine, which of course made all the things come together, Charles Albert Tinley and the birth of gospel, Bessie Smith, Marian Anderson, Eddie Lang, Mummers, the Curtis Institute, and all of it crammed together in about 90 minutes, and hopefully on a stage near you. Thank you all for being here tonight, and have a... Thank you, Larry Magid, for all that you've done for the city and all that you've done for all of these music fans.